Oh, hello. I am about 6 weeks late, but this is Tolarian Community College's 10-year anniversary. What's more, I just hit 900,000 subscribers, so maybe by my 11-year anniversary, I'll celebrate by being the first Magic the Gathering YouTube channel to hit 1 million subscribers. It's amazing to think that it's been a decade for me as a YouTuber because I worked as a college professor for a decade before walking away to become a full-time YouTuber. So that means from this day forward, every day I spend as a Magic the Gathering YouTuber will be one day more than I spent as a professor of English. You know, I remember one particular day when I was in my mid-30s. I pulled into the faculty parking lot of the community college I was teaching at, had been teaching at for years and years. I got out of my car and I looked up at the skyline. The redwood trees dotting the horizon, the way the sky stretched out behind the nearby bungalow. And I thought to myself, I am going to be pulling into this same parking spot when I am 45, 55, 65. I'm going to be getting out of my car and heading to teach the exact same classes. This is my life. This is what I became. Little did I know all of that was about to end forever. My real life, this life, was about to begin. I started playing Magic the Gathering in 1994. I was in high school, extremely shy and painfully lonely. Magic gave me a circle of people to call friends. It was how I met my first girlfriend, why I got my first job. I worked in between 10th and 11th grade, the summer of 1995, to buy booster boxes of Ice Age. But more than anything, Magic gave me an escape from the more painful things happening in my life. It saved me, as it has saved so many of us. Little did I know back then, 29 years ago, that this would not be the first time it did so for me. I sold my entire collection when I graduated high school. Yes, I had playsets of revised dual lands, in excellent condition I might add, because I sleeved my decks in penny sleeves even back then, but hey, some guy at the local card store was going to give me 10 to 15 bucks a piece for them, and I was an adult now. Adults don't play Magic. My best friend at the time told me not to sell. He said Magic was very special and that one day I might want to take that box of cards out of the closet and look through it. If not to play, then just to remember. But nah, I was in college now. Well, community college. I sold everything for a few $100s. Over a decade later, that same friend did take his Magic cards out from his closet and he showed them to me and he asked, "Remember this?" Remember, I had never forgotten. I thought of Magic the Gathering every day through college, through graduate school, through my years teaching and living abroad in China, and then back to San Francisco where I was settling into my career as a community college professor. Yeah, I told him, I remember. And then I said, we should build decks. Within weeks, we were playing again, holding Magic the Gathering nights at our apartments and attending every single pre-release in Friday Night Magic. I regretted selling my cards, not because those dual lands were now worth a lot, but because of all the other cards that weren't. I still wished I had them. They were pieces of myself that I had lost. Returning to Magic, I was finding those pieces again. Returning to the game, the very first pre-release I played in was Original Innistrad, and the very first pack I opened at that pre-release had a Liliana of the Veil in it. The first Friday Night Magic I won gave me a promo Phyrexian Metamorph, and I got a full art Strangleroot Geist and full art foil Zombie Apocalypse at Game Day Dark Ascension. A game day I won with mono red burn. Yeah, reverberate that goblin grenade, baby. I had let my cards go once. I never wanted to lose them again. I wanted my Magic cards in as pack fresh condition as possible, but I also wanted to play with all of them. So I got into card sleeves and cardboard protection. All of those products and accessories were new to me. In my day, all we had were penny sleeves, but I noticed some of my card sleeves would split and others didn't keep dirt and dust out of the opening. And despite being sleeved, my cards were getting little scratches on them. I bought every kind of card sleeve I could because I wanted the best. I learned to double sleeve, learned which brands were better than others. The owner of my local game store, Anime Imports in Pacifica, California, used to just tell customers asking about card sleeves that they'd get better insight by talking to me about the various brands of sleeves than to him. I became the card sleeve guy. And so I got it into my head to make a YouTube video about card sleeves because I felt there was no singular place which people could go to learn which ones were the best and which ones weren't. I thought it would be a fun, creative endeavor, and also I liked the idea that maybe after enough time had passed and enough people had clicked, I'd get enough in ad revenue to earn $100, which was the minimum a video had to earn for YouTube to cut you a check. I loved the idea that maybe I'd be able to go into anime imports and say, "1 booster box, please, Mike. YouTube is paying." So yeah, I only intended to make one video, but it seemed pretty popular. It got 76 views on its first day. Then within 3 days, it had 229. Then it got posted to Reddit and got 1,000 views by the end of its first week. And that was about 21 cents in ad revenue, so I was on my way. People in the comments were asking if I would do a video about deck boxes, and as it happened, I had a lot to say about deck boxes too. So I made a deck box video, and then I made one about portfolios and binders. So I thought I was done again, but then people were saying make one on playmats, and I thought, playmats? There's nothing to say about playmats, although I guess I can talk about how to properly wash and care for your playmat, and also there were cool companies like Inked that a lot of people didn't know about, so yeah, okay, I can do one on playmats. And I loved this new format called Modern because you get to play with your old cards, and I was all about playing with my old cards, but everyone said Modern was too expensive, so I made a video showing off this cool budget Modern Goblins deck so that people could play Modern without spending a lot of cash. Soon I was making more and more videos. Which is the best booster box to buy? Is the new dual deck any good? Are fat packs worth it? Before I knew it, I was making one video per week. Some weeks I was even managing 2 videos. I was doing all of this while working full-time as a college professor. And as the channel grew, I just couldn't keep that up. I was spending every free minute making YouTube videos. I had no free minutes. I'd come home from work teaching, and then I'd go to work making YouTube videos. But what could I do? YouTube ad revenue might be buying me booster boxes at this point, but it could never, would never, support my family. I created a Patreon to try and get, I think it was like $800 a month, which is what I got paid to teach one of my classes. And I figured that if I quit one of my classes and replaced it with that income from Patreon, then I could commit to the weekly video. To my absolute shock, the Magic the Gathering community pledged 3 times that amount, and I was able to quit one of my districts entirely, working part-time as a professor, and now part-time as a YouTuber. Within a few more years, YouTube became my full-time job. Now, it wasn't until over 2 years after my channel's creation that anyone from Wizards of the Coast even acknowledged my channel existed, let alone spoke to me, and longer still until I received my first preview card, but I didn't need Wizards of the Coast to give me preview cards to grow my channel, because the community was behind me. The community was who even got Wizards to talk to me in the first place in response to, of all things, my video covering the damaged product and price increases of Modern Masters 2015. They had raised the price of Modern Masters from $6.99 to $9.99 per pack. Can you believe it?
I do not like this trend of making the game more and more expensive, especially when there is no reason for it, beyond the fact that there are people willing to pay it. The lack of financial value in these packs can be explained away by design error, but the cost? Pure, cynical, and reckless greed. That's not what this company should be putting out.
But out of all of those videos and all of those memories, it is the ones where I got to work with other people in the Magic the Gathering community that became my most cherished memories, more so than any preview card I ever got. I got to sit down and tell jokes and share in the joy and silliness of the Magic story that I loved so dearly, with the awesome talent of people like Christine Sprankle, Ashlyn Rose, Nadine, aka Nissa Cosplay, Olivia, Tappy Toe Claus, Tarmacat, Teferi Magic, and so many, many more.
Professor! You paisley old rogue!
Teferi, you guy that I like. People like Graham of Loading Ready Run and Jimmy Wong even showed up.
I drink Time Water like crazy. Here you go.
This is vodka.
Time water.
I got to make a debate show called In Response with Josh Lee Kwai.
In general, people like the new cards. All those cards you listed, the partner commanders and everything else, people like those things. They like what Wizards is doing. They don't dislike them. It's just you, Prof, that doesn't like them. And I want more of that stuff, and I think that more of that stuff can happen if Wizards is in charge of the format and they know what they're doing.
Time, you're up.
I can honestly say that Josh is someone who became a true friend to me. Beyond just a content creator whose work I admire, he's been there for me when I needed him and whose presence in my life I greatly value. And people like Ashlyn and Shivam, I actually knew them before I was making YouTube videos because they were locals at my local game store. A lot of talent sure sprung out of anime imports, didn't it?
I feel like I appreciate Mark Rosewater's humor on a deeper level than most.
I started my channel largely because I was a rabid fan of Loading Ready Run. I loved their skits, and when they started making Friday Nights, a sitcom about Magic the Gathering, that, more than anything, made me want to be a YouTuber and to start this channel. And I even got to be in an episode of Friday Nights. They're my absolute heroes. They just celebrated 20 years. They are joy incarnate. Go watch. I got to do my own Magic the Gathering video podcast, Dies to Removal, with Wedge from the Mana Source, and later revived it with Pleasant Kenobi. I don't know how impactful those episodes were in the larger Magic conversation.
Dead formats that we miss.
Oh, I miss Standard.
But I loved making them. I loved getting to hang out and talk Magic the Gathering with my friends, something I now get to do on my Magic the Gathering gameplay show, Shuffle Up and Play. Really, the whole point of Shuffle Up and Play is just to have an excuse to have all my favorite people come over and play Magic with me. That's it. That's the point of the show. We're just hanging out, playing whatever we want, having fun, enjoying laughing, and telling jokes with one another, and getting in games. I know it maybe isn't the most polished Magic gameplay out there, even now that we have a judge on set, but it's me and my friends hanging out and loving this game and one another. But I guess my favorite guest, the person I'm so grateful to have gotten to work with, was my dad. He and I had a rough, tumultuous childhood, to be sure, and had grown apart when I left home. But I thought it would be fun to take some of the rants that Mike, the owner of Anime Imports, used to make about Magic the Gathering around the shop, write them down, and then have my elderly father read his rants.
I don't like Planeswalker cards.
Basically, it was me saying Mike sounded like a cranky old man, and I thought it was funny, but it let me and my father share in something together. It brought us a bit closer, and, you know, he's not doing too well right now. He's kind of on the way out, and I've got those memories that we made together. We got to do that together. We had that connection. Yeah, magic works in funny ways, doesn't it? Back in 2020, when I often felt despair overwhelming me, and I know I was not alone in that feeling of hopelessness, I went in my closet and I took some of my old booster boxes of Modern Masters, and I offered to put them up as a thank you gift if people would donate to Trans Lifeline, a suicide crisis hotline. I thought maybe I could raise a little bit more than the value of just selling those booster boxes, but soon other Magic players were offering their booster boxes as additional thank you gifts for donors, rare cards, signed cards, and suddenly the Tolarian Community College was organizing this full-blown fundraiser that lasted several days and in the end raised over $120,000 for Trans Lifeline. This community has literally touched the lives of so many, and I continued to run that fundraiser every year since. In February of this year, we raised over $225,000. As was often the case, people actually kept donating even after we'd given out all the gifts. Magic the Gathering players are amazing. As of now, Tolarian Community College's cumulative amount raised for Trans Lifeline is $739,788. Our next Trans Lifeline fundraiser is in February, and my goal is to hit 1 million cumulative lifetime dollars raised. Maybe we won't get there with February's fundraiser, but we will get there. When we gather together, we make magic. You know, I have 2 college degrees, but they don't actually mean a lot to me. I didn't attend either's graduation ceremonies. But this, my 100,000 subscriber plaque, this means more to me than either of those achievements. You know, I just feel like anyone taking the classes that I took checking off those requisites and putting in the time can do and get those degrees. But this is me. This is something I earned. I was the first Magic the Gathering YouTube channel to 100,000 subscribers. It's something that I individually achieved in my life. And yeah, I get another one of these when I hit 1 million subscribers. It's 10 years and I'm at 900,000. I have a little less than 1 year to hit 1 million subscribers by my 11-year anniversary. I never thought I would come this far. But unlike that day back when I was teaching English courses at a community college, when I looked up at the skyline and thought, it's done. I'm done. Even now, as I am a decade in and seeing 1 million subscribers on the horizon, I know it is far from over. I know that, together with all of you, Tolarian Community College is just getting started.